Hello, BookTube. Who's up for a main course of book haul with a side dish of ranting and raving? Well, a little haul here. There's a lot of cardboard and it ends in a small box. But we do start off with a manila envelope. So we'll see what's in here. It says "Big as Life," that it's from Soho Press, the wonderful folks at Soho Press. Okay. Okay, this comes out in March. This struck me as interesting. I wonder if it will strike you as interesting too. This is great. This is fantastic. This is by Clarissa Gonawan, and it is called Rainbirds. Ren Ishida is nearly finished with graduate school when he receives news that his sister Keiko is dead. She was viciously stabbed in the street one rainy night, and there are no witnesses. Ren leaves Tokyo for the small town of Akakawa to wrap up Keiko's affairs, and unexpectedly finds himself picking up where she left off, accepting both her old teaching position at a cram school and the bizarre arrangement of free lodgings at the residence of a prominent politician. As Ren comes to know the figures in the town, from his enigmatic new landlord to fellow teachers and a rebellious, alluring student he dubs 7 Stars, he relives memories of his childhood with Keiko and struggles to fill the void that she has left behind. So it struck me as kind of strange that the character subsumes his dead sister's identity. I don't think... Let's see here. Clarissa Gonawan is an Indonesian-born Singaporean writer. Her award-winning short fiction has appeared in literary magazines and anthologies in Singapore, Australia, the UK, and US, and Rainbirds is her first novel. And that also partly attracted me because I love debut fiction. Of course, no matter what happens, no matter what happens to our hero in Akakawa, you know perfectly well, in Japanese fiction, as in fiction anywhere else in the world, that when a character's relative is shot and there are no witnesses, there's a witness. So I have not read this book. I haven't even dipped into it, but I'd be willing to bet you a Boston cream pie from Dunkin' Donuts that the murder does not go unsolved in the course of the book. But I'm curious to see what it'll be like. So I'm glad I have it now. That's good. And then we'll forge into these big cardboard things and see. These are also requests of Steve. Oh, okay. This is the finished copy of something that I've been intrigued about and have not got around to reading. I feel bad about that. This is it's due in early January, and it's a Cossack novel. It's Red Sky at Noon by Simon Zabag Montefiore, who's a Russian historian. He writes histories about Russia. But this is a novel about the Cossacks. Very, very nice. This is from Pegasus Books. I wonder if these are all from Pegasus Books. Maybe that's why they're all... I've got all this cardboard. Let's see. I am intrigued. I just... The strangest thing has been happening to me in the last few days. It's really been interrupting the reading. It's really been discombobulating me, and that is a massive amount of new work, which is of course not a bad thing. But it turns out that that a few editors of mine have been inconvenienced by freelancers saying, "Yeah, I'm not going to be. I know that thing we agreed on 2 months ago. I'm not going to be able to do it. December's really piling up on me. Got holidays to go to, family stuff. I have a couple of editors who have suddenly developed holes in their schedule, and I'm here to help. But so it's led to work, and I'm hoping to continue that in the new year. So there are some of these things that I haven't got to. A Cossack novel by a very good historian. I should have read that by now. Same thing with this one. This is also Pegasus. These are all going to be Pegasus, I'll bet. This comes out in early January. It's a finished copy of a book that I should have read and have not. It's a novel about how a monster became an icon. It's called Frankenstein: The Science and Enduring Allure of Mary Shelley's Creation. And I love Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Absolutely love it. I read a bit of this, but I didn't read it all, and I really should. So I will A study of Frankenstein that I've let languish. That's not good. All right, here's the last of these. I bet this will be Pegasus too, or probably another guilt trip. That would be really bad. Yes, this is also Pegasus. No, okay, great. Whew. This is a Pegasus finished copy, to which I did not get the advanced copy. So, great. So this also comes out in January. And it is Max Leonard's book, Higher Calling, Cycling's Obsession with Mountains. You want to feel your heart lurch into your throat. If you want to find yourself gripping the nearest solid surface because you're tense even though you don't need to be, then go on YouTube and find GoPro footage that people strap to their helmet when they ride their all-terrain bikes over all kinds of surfaces. Some of the stuff is just unbelievable. There's a thing that mountain bike riders do. It has a name, but I'm blanking on the name of it now. It's a thing that they treasure to do, some of them, where it's one continuous ride along an incredibly serpentine and seemingly random pathway. There's one that goes through an entire city in South America, I think. There's another one that goes. The rider goes along a rock formation that is no wider than a human foot, than one human foot. It would be incredibly dangerous for you to walk along that knife edge, and this guy rides his bike along it and takes his GoPro along. So I have watched lots and lots of that footage when I should have been doing other stuff. So it looks like this is going to be not only a study of cycling's obsession with mountains, but also historical, which would be great. I think I mentioned on this channel. Excuse me. I think I mentioned on this channel a little bit ago that maybe on some levels you might not think it, but that I am actually a very big fan of sports riding. Sports and adventure and outdoor riding. A lot of times it brings out the best in the rider, and with no airs, with no literary airs. They just have a great story to tell and want to tell it really effectively. I don't know why that is. Maybe there's an element of thinking on the editorial part or on the writer's part that if I don't write this really engagingly, my target audience, who are not typically readers, won't read it. But then again, that might be wrong on both counts. It might be that the target audience are readers. I have never myself known someone who dedicated large portions of their life to vigorous, adventurous, physical activity to also be a reader. But they might be out there. And also, it might be that that's not the target audience. It might be that I'm the target audience. And that you figure you need to goose up the writing quality in order to get me to read about people riding bikes on mountains. I don't know. One way or another, I'm very happy about it. So let's see here. What on earth? Oh, goodness gracious. Okay. Okay. I have a feeling this is not for me. No, this is not for me. All right, this is just plain a mistake. Oh my. Okay, that's not good. Wow, all the information is correct, but this is the Organic Chem Lab Survival Manual. That's less said about that, the better. Here, that's just wow. That almost never happens. Considering how many books I get at this address, that almost never happens. I don't even know what to do about it. I guess I'll just hand it to my mailman. See if he can figure out what to do with it. Wow, that's... Okay, so last thing is box, and then we'll be done for now. What is here? Oh, no. Oh, okay. Well, you never know. Okay, so this comes out on the day after Christmas, so good luck there. Good luck, and God bless to you there. And I didn't request it, and I don't think I would read it in a million years, but maybe not. Maybe I will give it a try, since I often feel compelled to go outside of my admittedly huge comfort zone if somebody goes to the bother of sending me something. But, okay, this is Meditation for Fidgety Skeptics by Dan Harris. It's the sticker is a 10% happier how-to book. This book will get you to meditate minus the pan flutes. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, ABC news anchor Dan Harris. He's a news anchor with ABC. I did not know that. Used to think that meditation was for people who collect crystals, play ultimate frisbee, and use the word namaste without irony. Okay, that's pretty good. After he had a panic attack on live television, that will be on YouTube. I'll have to go find him. He went on a strange and circuitous journey that ultimately led him to embrace a practice he'd long considered ridiculous. Harris discovered that meditation made him more focused and less yanked around by his emotions. According to his wife, it also made him significantly less annoying. Oh, okay. Notice, it didn't make him unannoying, just less annoying. He wrote about his experience in the bracingly candid and extremely funny memoir 10% Happier, which became a New York Times bestseller, hence the reference on the cover. Here's what he's fixated on now. Science suggests that meditation can lower blood pressure, mitigate depression and anxiety, and literally rewire key parts of the brain, among numerous other benefits. And yet there are millions of people who want to meditate but aren't actually practicing. What's holding them back? Okay. All right, well, this is not for me, but maybe... Maybe I should give it a try. I did not read 10% Happier, but maybe I don't need to. In fact, according to the rules that I set on this channel, I shouldn't have to reread. I shouldn't have to read that to get this, to get everything I can out of this. It's most certainly not my cup of tea. Meditation? Meditation? If I want to be calm and think clearly, I calm myself down and I think clearly. But meditation, emptying your mind, sitting there for an hour, 2 hours, including and also including one person I know 3 hours at a time, 3 hours at a time, in order to calm yourself down. I have the same reaction to that I have to so many other things that I encounter in the 21st century from, I'm sure, well-meaning people. My reaction is always the same. I want to look at these people and say, you do realize, don't you? You're going to be dead in about 10 minutes. Dead. Not your body dead, but a part of you gets to keep meditating or getting around to the books you've been putting off, or starting the novel that you've always dreamt of writing. No, no. Your personality is based on your memory, your experiences. Your memory is a function of your brain's engrams, your brain's tissue. Your brain's tissue functions because it is constantly given a supply of oxygen-rich blood. And it gets that supply because that blood is pumped by your heart. When your heart stops pumping that blood, your brain ceases to get its supply of oxygen-rich nourishment, and it dies. And when it dies, all of the stuff in it goes away. It disappears. It doesn't go into abeyance in some sort of escrow account for some other reality later on. That doesn't happen. It disappears completely. It's like if you have a bunch of very technical wires and bulbs and you have arranged them so that you could put on an incredible light show. And then you throw the power switch and the light show happens and all the other light shows are involved and all the spectators are saying, wow, that's a heck of a light show. Or, I don't know, I've seen better light shows. And then you shut the power off, and the light show stops, and everybody moves on. And in that situation, you would consider someone insane if they said, well, that was a great light show, and I'm glad that somewhere it's still going on. No, that's not how it works. Once your brain dies, you're gone. And the tissues are extremely delicate, and they immediately start to decay. So even if you could somehow come back, it wouldn't be you anymore. That stuff is gone. It's not in abeyance. It's not held on a disk drive somewhere. This is it. In about 10 minutes, you're going to be dead. And what I mean by that is not that there's a rogue piano falling with your name on it. What I mean is, when you reach the point Whether it's, tubes up your nose and a fresh diagnosis of pancreatic cancer, whether it's a peaceful, sweet old age and a touch of pneumonia in an era that's coming in which pneumonia cannot be treated with antibiotics, and so it's just going to kill you. When that moment comes, unless you're lucky enough to have it be clean, unless you're lucky enough to have it be a falling piano, you're going to be present in that moment, and you're going to feel it for what it is. You're going to feel that there's no other moment, that this is it. And you're going to have crystal clear clarity in that moment. And in that moment, you are going to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you are tipping into a gigantic, pitch black precipice. No harps, no green, far country under a swift sunrise, no nothing. That's it. That's all. You had your time. And in that moment, if you look back, you're going to think, it feels like just 10 minutes ago that I was 20. We used to have a thing called BookTube. We all loved each other, and we all talked about everything under the sun. And now, well, heavens. It's 75 years later, but it feels like 10 minutes. I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that that is true. I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you will think it. I know it on anecdotal levels, because Miss Sainted Ma was in every way except the way that matters a 21-year-old woman when she died. In every way except the way that counts, she stayed a funny, personable, anecdotal, sympathetic, opinionated 21-year-old woman until the very end. And in the last week, at the beginning of the last week of her life, 9 decades later, she said, it feels like 10 minutes ago. I'm that person. It's just the rest of this that has failed. I know it not only anecdotally, I also know it personally. Because I have been about as close as you can get, and I came back. But I got close enough to know what it felt like. If in a spare moment, feel free to Google the phrase snowed under. I got as close as you can get. And I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt that if you roll up your ostentatious map that you love people to look at when you're on the subway, if you roll that on the floor and you sit and you assume a position and you start to empty your mind in order to calm yourself down and reorient yourself, and 3 hours later, 2 hours later, an hour later, you decide, well, I'd better stop. Boy, this did me a world of good. Well, all right. I didn't think that's where the rant would come in, but I will give this guy's book a try. I won't read it for meditation. I'm not going to stop doing stuff and sit down and empty my mind for 3 hours. God help us. It's bad enough I have to sleep every day without doing that. I'm not gonna be an adherent to anything in. I think I bashed it for 40 minutes. I might as well show it to you again. Meditation for Fidgety Skeptics. I'm not going to do anything in here, but I can read it. I know there's a vast audience for it, so I'll give it a try. All right, so there we go. I didn't think that's where the rant would come in. So we have Meditation for Fidgety Skeptics. We have an organic chem survival. I don't know what that is. We have Higher Calling, about bicycling in the mountains. We have Frankenstein, How a Monster Became an Icon. Fascinating stuff. We have Red Sky at Noon, a novel by a historian. Those are always interesting to read. And we have Rainbirds, a debut novel, which is always exciting. So there we go. That's a mail haul as the light, I notice, is drastically changing. So that's not good. So I'll wrap this up before I disappear completely. I'll see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.